Hi everybody, my name is Adam Pick and I'd like to welcome you to our ongoing series about heart valve surgery from the patient perspective. For those of you who don't know me, I am a double heart valve surgery patient and author of a book by the name of The Patient's Guide to Heart Valve Surgery. So my guess is if you're watching this video, you've been diagnosed with some kind of aortic valve disease. And the main types of valvular disorders in the aortic valve are aortic stenosis, aortic regurgitation, your leaflets could be calcified, or you could have been born with a congenital heart defect known as a bicuspid aortic valve. Regardless of your valvular disorder, I imagine right now you're researching the different types of options that are available should you need aortic valve replacement. So in 2009, thanks to some rapid advances in medical technology, the way I see it, there's really three different categories of aortic valve replacement approaches, and we'll talk about them now. So the most common form of aortic valve replacement is done through an approach called the median sternotomy. And in this aortic valve replacement type, the surgeon breaks the patient's sternum, then with access to the patient's heart, stops the heart, fixes the aortic valve, then essentially restarts the heart and closes the patient's sternum. And here you can see two pictures of a median sternotomy, both a male and a female. So one variant to the traditional median sternotomy uses something known as the Ross procedure. And in this approach, the surgeon removes the patient's aortic valve, that's the disease valve, and then takes the pulmonary valve, moves it into the aortic position, and then uses a homograft, also known as a donor valve, to be put into the pulmonary position. It's this switching of valves that also leads the Ross procedure to be known as the switch procedure as well. The next main category of aortic valve replacement is commonly referred to as minimally invasive approaches. And here you can see that the incisions are much smaller than the median sternotomy, and some of the benefits of that are an accelerated recovery time and obviously less physical trauma to the patient's body. On the left you can see there's something known as a mini sternotomy, and this is again using a direct approach through the sternum. And on the right side you can see an approach known as a mini thoracotomy, and this actually provides the surgeon access to the patient's aortic valve through the ribs. So the final category of aortic valve replacement that we'll talk about today is known as the catheter or transcatheter valve replacement. And here you can see two pictures of the Edwards sapien valve. And what's very interesting about this approach is that there's actually no trauma or incision done to the patient's breastbone, that being its sternum, or the ribs. So it's fundamentally different than the previous approaches we've discussed. And as a result, the benefits are believed to be, again, less trauma to the patient's body, accelerated recovery, in theory, less cost to hospitals, patient insurance companies, and there are some who believe that this type of therapy could ultimately lead to outpatient types of aortic valve replacement. Now, it should be noted that the Edwards sapien valve is currently under FDA investigation, as in trials here in the United States. There are some believe that the valve could be FDA approved here within the next few years. But it should also be stated that the valve is actually being used in Europe today. So it's very, very encouraging. So there you have it. Those are the three main categories of aortic valve replacement being done today. And as we close this video, I just want to remind all of you four key points. The first one is every patient case is unique. So while one surgery might be available to you, another one may not, given your valvular disorder. The second point is definitely take the time to discuss these different approaches with your surgeon, with your cardiologist, with your family and friends. You want to be very comfortable with the surgery you elect. The third point is, if you can, consider the surgical outcomes. And what do I mean by that? Well, the traditional surgeries are going to have a wide array of statistics available for success and failure and mortality, while some of the newer procedures, obviously if they're in clinical trial, they're still developing those data sets. And finally, my biggest point is, if you can, please get a second opinion. In a recent survey I did, I found out that about 35 patients do not get second opinions, and I just don't really think that's wise, right? I think you really want to take the time to get a second everything, as I call it, a second echocardiogram, a second cardiologist opinion, a second surgical opinion, because when you are rolled into that operating room, you really, really want to be confident in your surgeon, the surgical approach, and the most likely outcome for you coming from aortic valve replacement. So I hope this has been helpful for you. I hope everything goes great for you, and I wish you nothing but health and happiness, and as we always say, keep on ticking. Bye-bye. So if you'd like to learn more about aortic valve replacement or heart valve surgery, simply go to my website at www.heart-valve-surgery.com, or if you're at Google, simply type Adam Pick into the search field, and this website will be one of the first to come up in your results page.